Welcome to Productive Joy with Dr. Christie, where fun meets action.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Productive Joy. Oh, we are in for such a treat today. I can't wait to introduce you to my new friend, Vicki Gold. But before I do, I need you to follow this podcast. It makes such a difference. Long-term, short-term, I just need you to follow and share. What that'll do is make sure that you find guests like Vicki and can learn from them as well. So Vicki is a 50-year veteran in the physical therapy space. She owns Thorough Fitness. However, she is only 80 years young, and she's immature by choice, which I appreciate fully. She loves to color, which my daughter will appreciate as well. She has great genetics, which you can see if you are watching this for sure. She loves to travel with her husband, but doesn't get to do so as much as she'd like because she's so busy with her new book and all of the great things that she's doing. And for her 90th birthday, she's decided she's going to get the pony she has always wanted. And today, she's our guest on Productive Joy. Vicki, welcome.
Thank you so much, Christy. That was fun.
Right? Isn't it? And I love learning new things about new friends, and you're my new friend, and I cannot wait for people to learn from you. And people have a short attention span. So what would you say to them in like 30 seconds to get them so excited about this episode that they can't wait for more?
You'll learn your ABCs, and I promise you it's going to transform how you move through life. In fact, that's the tagline for my company, transforming the ways you move through life. So you're going to learn your ABCs today.
Learning our ABCs, I love that. And if you're watching, friends, you can see the ABCs right behind Vicki's head. So they are align, breathe, and center. Why don't we start there? And then I want to move into how you got here, because you've had 80 years to get here and you've done some pretty phenomenal things. So tell us about our ABCs first and foremost.
So just to let you know, they came from my background as a traditionally trained physical therapist, but I also had a very smorgasbord approach to life. So I liked sampling a lot of different things. And in the arena of mind body, I have experience with yoga, with Tai Chi, with Pilates, with Alexander and Feldenkrais techniques. And these were two men who, because of challenges in their personal lives and their physical function, they created these ways of moving that help them overcome these areas of restriction. So it really encourages more self-awareness. So that's part of the background. And at some point I said, and there were other things also that related to personal growth and transformation and psychotherapy. And at some point I said, Vicki, you've had all these experiences and you love to teach. How do you bring them to the person who hasn't had the same experiences? And that's where the ABC mind-body system was born. Because you want me to keep going, Christy?
No, you're doing great. And I'm so excited and can't wait to hear more. So,
okay.
But what I just heard that I appreciated is that you wanted to share what you'd learned. You didn't want to keep it to yourself. You wanted the world to get to know some of those lessons. So how did that come to be? Like, what did you do with it?
Well, so first of all, as soon as I was qualified and I got my master's degree, I knew immediately, I got my master's degree because that's what I needed to be able to teach. Mm-hmm. So I knew right from the beginning that I wanted to teach other physical therapy students. But then if you think of how physical therapists and a lot of us function, it's about transferring knowledge. Mm-hmm. So, I started giving presentations to senior centers. I eventually wound up doing trainings for other healthcare workers. Any opportunity that I could find, and now podcasts, mm-hmm. Any opportunity that I could find to share, I would jump at. And where I'm probably different from a lot of people who might be listening is that I have never been afraid of public speaking. Give me an audience. I mean, it's just been part of my DNA, the desire to teach.
Oh, I get it because it's in mine too, right? Like, give me a microphone and I am happy as a lark. That's what I want more than anything. But what I love that you just said is that, okay, I wanted to teach it, but we had to find that platform, had to figure out how to do that. So what I do is I actually help people get learning to stick. That's the name of my book.
Mm,
And what I wrote it for and who I wrote it for were people like you who weren't in the teaching field, but were teaching people all day long.
mm,
Because the reality is that we have a certain way that we're able to learn. And once you get that, which sounds to me like you've got, especially with your ABC model, because that gives that mnemonic and that thing that people can hold on to. But when you approach learning appropriately for the brain, people will actually be able to hold on to it. And that's what you've been doing for years. I love that. And I told you at the beginning before we started that we have two very dear friends who've been physical therapists their whole lives, and they're 30 years in. And so what I appreciate about them is that they're teachers by trade. They know that, they choose to be that. And when they
mhm.
their patients, that's what they're doing. So you're helping others figure out an easy way to do that. Why don't you tell us your specific ABCs?
Okay. So the A is for alignment, and alignment is actually just posture.
Mm.
And when I teach every component of the ABC system, and there are actually 5, but every component I approach from the point of view of what is it? Why is it important? How do you achieve it? And then my publisher added the component, well, when do you do it? So that all works. So for alignment, we talk about posture. Why is it important? Because you first of all, I think everybody looks better when they're up straight, or whether they're sitting, standing, walking. Right. You get and just a little aside, a lot of people who don't have good posture, for some of them, it's because of low self-esteem, and they actually hesitate to go into better posture because they're afraid it's going to make them look snooty or aloof.
Mhm.
Get over it. Get over it, because, first of all, looking better is not a problem. You can actually fool your body or fool your mind into thinking you're more confident if you look more confident. Yeah, I mean, you and I, Christy, can talk about what it's like in the morning. You get up, maybe it hasn't been a great night, no makeup is on.
You got to do some things. You got to
Yeah.
work on them.
And as soon as the hair gets combed, the makeup goes on. It's like, oh my God, if I look this good, I can't possibly be feeling this bad. So,
God for makeup. Like, I'm very grateful that I get to wear it every day because, oh Lord, it does enhance what we've got.
Right. So going back to the A of the alignment, we already talked about you look better, but you also function better. And I tell the story about a patient, and this is in the book, by the way, a patient who was in a waiting room where I was working, and this older woman was kind of slouched in the waiting room chair, and I asked her what her problem was, and she winces and she tries to raise her arm up, and she can't get it up beyond, like, let's say 45 degrees or something. So she was early for her appointment. I sat her back in her chair, which you all can do now. I put a support behind her back so the natural curve in the back was supported. I rested her arms on armrests, which you could use a table, armrests. I also put a cushion on her lap, and now her shoulders aren't dragging, her arms aren't dragging her body down. And I said, just do some relaxation breathing. I'll come back and get you in about 15 minutes. I came back about 15 minutes later, and I don't know why I asked her again what her problem was, and the arm shot straight up. And I had a physical therapist friend of mine who just reviewed the book, and she said, Vicki, that doesn't happen. Yeah. I mean, of course, if you have other issues and complications and you can't get that good posture, and there are other issues going on, let's say in your shoulder, in your head and neck, you're not going to have the arm shoot straight up. But in this case, this woman's arm shot straight up. So that becomes one of my key stories for talking about the importance and the value of working on your postural alignment.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? I had a guest not too long ago, Janice Kaplan, her book is about how our body tells our mind what to think instead of the other way around. And she talked about posture also, and how just putting your shoulders back before you walk into a room can boost your confidence, can make everything feel a little different. And I think we somehow think everything's mutually alone, right? Individual, right? Our brain's thinking this and our body's doing that. And I wish this aligned with that. No, it's all one thing that we've got to get all going in the same direction, right? It's a chicken or the egg situation where
Right.
we've got to control both sides.
Yeah. And I mean, for anybody who's familiar with the concepts of yin and yang, or the whole concept of mind and body, each one influences the other. And there's so much to go into about that. I want to say one other thing about alignment before we go into the B for breathing. And that is, well, how do you achieve it? So we talked about what it is. Why is it important? It improves your function. It gives your lungs, the organs in your abdominal cavity more room to function. So that's why it's important. But how do you achieve it? First of all, you become conscious. I mean, everything that we're going to talk about, you want to start having some awareness of how you are holding your body. But then I use visual imagery or suggestions. And if you close your eyes or you just think about it, and I'm going to say the word lengthen, and let your body respond. In most cases, you're going to tend to sit or stand a little bit straighter. And then I use the word or the image open. And the reason for that is because most of us carry tension, even if it's a tension from excitement, we carry that in our neck and shoulders. And so often, if I tell someone to, or you tell someone to stand up or sit up straight, you'll notice their shoulders hike up. Your neck and shoulder muscles have nothing to do with good postural alignment. So we say lengthen so that the core muscles engage, the ones that support your spine. And we say open to encourage those muscles around the neck and shoulders to let go and allow your shoulders to drop down and back. And there's more imagery that I go into in the book, but just lengthen open is a good beginning for using imagery to create change. So here's the mind creating change in the body.
Yeah. I love that. And I just did that alongside you. And I'm hopeful that those that were listening were doing the same. Now, if you were driving, please don't close your eyes. But the idea being just being aware of where my shoulders are, because we do tend to creep up. Like I have one side that just decides to get angry sometimes, and I notice it, right? But I also notice when I just choose to put my shoulders back, or my friends at the gym and I do this exercise here where your arms are going back just to strengthen those back muscles, because we sit at our computers all day and everything kind of gets hunched. So
Right.
I love the simpleness of lengthen and open and the power that it holds. I love that. Okay, so breathe. Tell us the key.
So why do I need to tell people to breathe? Because we do it automatically. What I emphasize in the book is what I call conscious breathing. So now you focus, you start paying attention to your breathing pattern. And what I want you to do is appreciate that your ability to control your breathing is a tool. And mostly, for most of us, it's a tool for relaxing, for de-stressing.
Definitely.
So that's the breathing starts with, first of all, conscious breathing. Secondly, just being aware of breathing in through the nose. That's the natural organ for breathing. If you are a mouth breather, it's advisable to learn how and why to get the habit and to develop the habit of breathing through the nose, especially if you're a mouth breather at night. There are techniques for actually putting a little piece of tape.
I have a dear friend who tapes her mouth every night.
Right. And I guess we should caution listeners that don't do anything like that without working with a healthcare professional.
Right. And she is a healthcare provider who does speech pathology, and she has reasons for doing so. But what I like about that, and that's something that I've become more conscious of in the last probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 years is as I'm falling asleep, particularly being thoughtful about in and out of my nose and not being a mouth breather. And I think it helps me fall asleep faster and stay asleep, especially in this wonderful perimenopause point in life I'm in, where all the things are just fun and enjoyment every single day. And so that breathing, I had my first colonoscopy today, which was just
Oh, yay!
like a party only different. And I think that all goes together with taking care of yourself, right? And being thoughtful. And it might be as simple as being conscious in how you breathe that will take people to that next level. So tell us about C.
Wait, I'm
Oh,
not
wait, there's more for breathing.
I'm not through with breathing.
Say more.
Okay, so the other thing that I like to emphasize, besides making you conscious of it, is that the exhalation portion of breathing is the most important part of it, actually. So in the book, I will encourage you to do what I call a slow, prolonged exhalation. And the reason for that is that it's not normal to fully exhale every time you breathe. You'd hyperventilate, you'd be on the floor in no time. But once in a while, to exhale as slowly and as long as you can, what that is going to do is get rid of that stale air that sits in the corner of the lungs. In the medical profession, we refer to it as residual air. So for the average person, it's a nice thing to do. It can increase your energy. For a person with something like chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or a COPD, where they may have lost some lung tissue, it's even more critical for them because if they already are missing lung tissue and then some of what they have is kind of blocked with stale air or even liquid, phlegm, or I'm missing the right word right now, congestion, it's really valuable for them to put their attention on slow, prolonged exhalation, which will move that stale air out. If they've got congestion or, oh boy, the fluid in the corners of the lungs, it may stimulate a cough, but what that does is it helps to make more of the air passage of the lungs available.
Which is so important. And that opens up everything.
Yes, right. So I think, that's enough of a primer on breathing. We do talk about diaphragmatic breathing and why that's important. Now, centering, which is my C, has 3 meanings that I describe in the book. But the one I want to mention here is centering as mind and body working together. And my comment to people in programs that I teach is, how often does any one of us, or has any one of us, had a fall or an accident, made a mistake, had an injury, because our mind is one place while our body is doing something else?
Yes.
So just stopping, especially if you're under stress, especially if you're rushing, especially if you're one of those people that multitasks, just taking that moment to align, breathe, center, do one thing at a time. And there's a strategy that I actually have adopted from an organization called Landmark Worldwide, for anybody who's familiar with them. And I've called that strategy start, act, stop. So whether you're doing a task that's washing a dish, you take the dish, that's your start. You wash the dish, you put it in the dish drain, stop. Writing my book is certainly not as short a task, but you sit down, you start. I did as much as I was going to do in any given time. I declare to stop, on to the next thing. So my day is a series of start, act, stops.
I love that. And I can see it in action in the humans that I know. Like I think about my dad. My dad is 87 and he has faced a lot of health challenges this year. He has never been a singular thing kind of guy. He's trying to do 17 things at once, which means none of them really get accomplished as well as they should because he's busy, right? But what he's learning in the forced stop that happened with a broken hip and a colon cancer removal and all the things in the last year is that his body cannot do more than one thing at a time and he needs to slow down. I think that's, though, a lesson for any and all of us, right? Regardless of age, is that, start, act, stop. This is what I'm doing right now. Not these things are what I'm doing right now. I'm terrible at it. I'm a in my mind, wonderful multitasker that you actually don't really accomplish much of anything, right? But I have learned recently about power sessions, which are essentially giving yourself 30 minutes to do a thing that you've mapped out very intentionally and then celebrating the accomplishment of that thing.
That's your stop. Yeah.
Right. That's my stop.
Yes, that's your stop.
I coach dissertation students who are working on getting their doctorate. And one of the main things that we talk about is how are you going to set aside intentional time to work on this and then celebrate what you've accomplished. But there has to be a timer and a stop because what happens is we sit and look at a blank screen for 2 hours and we've now wasted 2 hours instead of spending 15 solid minutes doing appropriate or accomplishing something. I love what you're doing. I love I just love who you are and how you present yourself, but also that you've created something simple, not easy, but simple that people can turn around and use. So, Vicki, how would people find you? What's the best way for them to get their hands on your book and your stuff?
The best way is just to go to my website because everything's going to be there. My website is the company name, which is Thera, Thera, and then a hyphen. Don't forget the hyphen, fitness. And you know how to spell that. So it's thera-fitness.com. And there you can learn more about me, some of the other programs that I do. And there's a tab there that's for the book. And in that tab, you'll actually hear me, if you want, you can actually hear me do an 8-minute intro to the book. And from that same page, you can order either from Barnes & Noble or from Amazon. And I wanted to mention, Christie, that if people go onto my website and they respond to the contact information and they send me an email, I have a 2-page tips and tricks and strategies for reducing stress that, we're not having a chance to mention today.
There's so many things we could talk about, Vicki. We could go on for days. It'd be great. Well, and I got to see that 2-pager, and it is full of great information. So y'all go to Vicki's website and experience her a little bit more and grab on to the free things that she's sharing with us. Because this isn't just for those of what we might call advanced age. This is all people, right? I fully see where it would benefit me. I can fully see where it would also benefit my parents, right? Like the in-laws and the birth parents that I have, because they range in age from 75 to 87, and yet at 48, I think I could use it too. Thank you for choosing to share your brilliance and for having so many just thoughtful things to say. And I was looking you up and figuring out, what are we going to talk about? I noticed that you are a Brene Brown and a Mel Robbins fan. Those are 2 of my favorites as well. Brene doesn't know that we are besties, but we're absolutely besties. She just has no idea that I am one of her best friends. So, but it's clear to me that you are continuing to work on learning who you are and sharing with others who they can become by just being a little more conscious and taking good care of themselves. Thank you for choosing to share your brilliance on Productive Joy today. Would you be willing to answer some rapid fire questions for me?
I'll do my best. Absolutely,
Okay.
Christie.
So we're going to have to add a rapid fire question because I haven't asked you my staple question, and that's your definition of productive joy. So let's start with that in our rapid fire. If you had to describe productive joy,
it's just having a purpose and taking action steps to fulfill it. And that's really anybody who has not discovered or to themselves what their purpose is in life, as big or as little as you think it is, find your purpose. And once you've defined that, go for it. And that's joy for me.
I completely agree. All right. So in a similar vein, how would you define fun?
Oh my, play. I mean, the word play comes to mind. Fun. I love to dance. I mean, being with people, laughing. Fun is actually being with people where I feel totally free. There can always be those people who you kind of have to kind of watch, a little bit. So fun for me is just being with people where I can laugh and be silly and free.
I love
That's
that.
fun.
And I think I fully agree with your definition on that one. How do you know that you're showing up as your authentic self?
Ah, there's, it goes back to that word freedom.
Mhm.
No concern about, judgments and stuff. I think insecurity, it was much more something that people experience when they're younger. And one of the joys of reaching 80 or getting to a certain age is just experiencing freedom.
Mm.
Did I answer the question?
No, you
Was
did. You answered it perfectly. It is, how do you know you're showing up as your authentic self? And you said freedom. I agree completely. Love it. Okay. How do you channel your best self on your worst days?
a bubble bath?
Mm,
Like first thing, is that starts my day. And that's just where it starts. And
I love it.
then whether or not I put makeup on is incidental, but certainly the hair gets combed.
I mean, most days. I don't know. Sometimes it's a hot day, and I'm fine with that too. Okay. Last question. Tough question. By nature, our brains can only hold on to one major thing in a 30-minute time span. So if people can only remember one major thing from all the brilliant things that you said, what's the one you want to leave them with?
I'd like to leave them with the ABCs. So align, breathe, center. I'd like you to really take it in, really experience how you transform mentally and physically. We didn't even talk about the other ABCs, which are attitudes, beliefs, and commitment, and how they impact. So
We're going to have to do this again, I think.
yeah,
That's what I hear.
that works for me. But learning your ABCs, like I say, just like you needed to learn, we all needed to learn our ABCs to read and write. These ABCs, align, breathe, center, we need to function optimally, physically and mentally.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you for teaching us a new version of our ABCs today, Vicki.
You're
And
welcome.
listeners, you are gaining so much wisdom and knowledge from these brilliant guests, and I'm just so excited that you're continuing to join us. Please share this with all of your friends because I think we all need it, and we need to be reminded that there are better ways for us to handle ourselves so that our minds and bodies are connected and we can get the most out of life. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you for learning from Vicki. Vicki, thank you for being with us.
Oh, it was fun. It was a pleasure. Thanks, Christy.
Yay. And so enjoy your free shot of B12 and figure out a way today to turn fun into action.